Do you struggle to get out of bed in the morning? Do you lack a lust for life? Well, I don't, because I'm a better person than you. I'm kidding. I really struggle to get out of bed every single morning, just as most of you do, and it's especially difficult in quarantine, which I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing right now as well. If you're working from home, it can be very difficult to distinguish your work life from your home life. So I thought I'd share with you some of the systems that I've put into place to make it a little bit easier to get out of bed in the morning and make my life a little bit more productive. I'm not really a morning person, so I don't really like waking up early, and if you are trying to get out of bed more easily, perhaps the first thing you should consider is getting out of bed a little bit later in the day. You don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning to be considered a productive human being. You can wake up at 8 a.m. or whenever the sun rises and still live a very productive life. You still need around 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night, no matter who you are. Even if you think you function on less, or if you know someone who lauds how little sleep they get over you, then point them towards the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. I've spoken about this book before on this channel, and if you want to be shocked into sleeping a little bit more, then read that book, or perhaps listen to the interview with Matthew Walker on Joe Rogan's podcast if you don't feel like reading the entire book. I will put a link to that interview in the description of this video. So the first thing that I do, or rather the first thing that I don't do, is use my phone as an alarm clock, and you shouldn't either. In fact, I don't use an alarm at all, and I wake up naturally when my body decides to wake itself up. Now, it might seem like I put a lot of trust into my own body, which in fact I do, and if you don't trust yourself, it's going to be very difficult for you to wake up in the morning. When I do have to wake up with an alarm, I put my phone in a different room to the room that I sleep in. Now, you've probably heard this before, but the reason that I do it is a little bit different, because if your phone is in the same room that you're in, it's likely that you're using it the night before, and using your phone before you go to sleep is a very bad idea. The blue light from your phone right before you go to sleep affects the quality of your sleep. Again, even if you feel like you're getting a good night's sleep, you likely aren't because of that blue light. So if you really have to use your phone before you go to bed, I'd suggest turning on the night mode function that your phone has. Try not to use any of your electronic devices before you go to bed, at least an hour before you fall asleep. This way your mind can naturally calm itself down, because if you do pump a lot of information directly into your mind and your eyeballs right before you go to sleep, it's going to keep your mind active and it's going to affect your sleep cycle. Put your phone in its own little bed outside of your room, and when you wake up in the morning, if you do have to use an alarm, you'll be forced to get out of bed and walk to it to turn it off. And that takes us to the next thing, which is don't set multiple alarms. By setting multiple alarms, again, you're not trusting yourself to wake up from that first alarm. So you're setting yourself up for failure. If you don't think you're going to wake up and you set multiple alarms, you're putting it in your mind that you can snooze the first few alarms before you wake up. And if you do that, we all know how much more tired that makes you feel in the morning, because it makes you feel lazy and you haven't accomplished anything right as you've woken up. You've already given in to the pressures of the day ahead of you. Set one alarm and set it for the same time every day. Or try going to bed at the same time every single night, and eventually your body will start waking up at the same time because you'll fall into a natural rhythm. Like I said, I'm fortunate enough to not have to use an alarm clock, so I shift my sleep schedules as the seasons throughout the year progress. So right now where I am, it's winter and I wake up a little bit later because the sun rises later. But as we progress into summer, I'll start going to bed a little bit earlier and waking up earlier because the sun rises earlier in the day. Right now I go to bed around 11 or 12 p.m. at night and wake up around 7 or 8 a.m. without an alarm clock, but I do hear the roosters that my neighbors keep in their garden crow every single morning, and it makes me want to punch that rooster in the face. Even though I don't believe in harming animals or eating them, it's something that I really struggle with. Anyone who says they love waking up to some annoying sound is a maniac. You don't have to love the sound of your alarm clock, but you don't have to hate it. And that takes us into the next thing, which is negative thoughts. In the morning, like I said, I do have some negative thoughts sometimes when you wake up and you think, damn, I really don't feel like getting out of bed today. I don't want to do whatever it is that I have to do. Turn those thoughts around and turn it into gratitude, and think how grateful you are to be able to get up in the morning and get out of bed and walk into your kitchen and make yourself a cup of whatever warm beverage it is that you enjoy. There are a lot of people out there who can't enjoy this privilege, and by thinking these positive thoughts, it will help set you up for a productive day. You should also have a plan for when you get out of bed. One of the things we struggle with most is not having a plan for the day. Sure, you might have something later on in the day that you have to attend to, but if you don't have something that you need to do right as you get up, it's going to be difficult getting out of bed. Even if it's something simple like making yourself a cup of tea, making your bed, getting a book to read, or simply getting in the shower. If you build out some sort of ritual that you have to perform every single morning, it's going to feel uncomfortable when you don't do that thing, and it's going to make it difficult to stay in bed. Exactly flipping the habit of not being able to get out of bed on its head. That rhymed. I'm a poet and I don't even know that I can rhyme things. So stop mentally sabotaging yourself in the mornings and use more positive verbiage instead. Turn on some lights, light a candle, make your bed, play some music. Do something that gets your body moving. If you do one of these things, it requires a very little bit of mental energy and mental thought so that you don't doze off back to sleep. And I'm not saying scroll through social media or watch TV right as you wake up, because those are things that you can do that are activities, but they aren't productive and helpful. Again, by keeping your phone outside of the room, you're less likely to reach for it and start scrolling through social media and responding to people right as you wake up. Don't spend your mornings responding to texts and emails, because you'll get sucked into a deep, dark abyss of responding to everyone. So rather, set a time aside for that later on in the day and set your mornings up for yourself. Something personal and something that you enjoy doing. Personally, my morning routine starts the night before, and I like to clean up everything before I go to bed. So I do the dishes and I clean up my room and declutter my workspace so that I know that I don't have to do that when I wake up in the morning. You don't want to dread getting out of bed to perform a task. Like I said, you want something that you'll enjoy doing right as you wake up. If you have a plan or a reason for living or a reason for waking up, you're more likely to get out of bed and get started with your day rather than getting up and doing the dishes and cleaning up your house. But maybe you do enjoy that. I know that I do personally enjoy cleaning because it gives me a lot of time to think and process some of my thoughts. Find something that works for you and something that you can immediately hop into right as you wake up and start your day. Hopefully these things helped you, and if they did, I'm not going to tell you what to do next, because a lot of YouTube videos end in a way that they tell you what to do next. But I think you know at this point. Subscribe.